G'day, Bob the Science Master here. Today I'm making up 10 kilos of sugar into syrup for my bees. Here's how I go about it. I've got 10 kilos of the cheapest white sugar I could buy. It has to be white. Here I've got 2 litres of hot water, and in my boiler here, heating away, I've got another 4 litres. So I'm going to pour the 2 litres of hot water in, and that'll give me 6 litres of water heating up. It's not boiling yet, so I'll be a bit more patient. Well, it's now boiling away, so all sugar goes in without splashing and scalding myself. It's 3 kilos. Six kilos. We're not going to get the 8 kilos in. Well, this will be interesting. I usually use a bigger boiler from down the shed, and I thought, no, I'll use one of my wife's flash stainless steel ones. And I've had to take a couple of litres out, so it will be really interesting to see if I can dissolve 10 litres, or 10 kilograms rather, of sugar in what's little more than 4 litres of water. Well, it has all dissolved. Pretty much 10 kilos of sugar in 4 litres of water. We're doing kind of a lifting motion so that the heavy syrup on the bottom is lifted up and mixed with the lighter syrup on the top. I can see little swirls inside the syrup where parts of it are less dense than others, and I'd like it to be quite even. So I'm going to leave this sit for a few hours, because pouring this hot syrup would be unbelievably dangerous, and pouring it into a soft plastic container would be a pretty stupid idea as well. It's now mid-afternoon, 4 hours later. This has cooled down, and I could pour it into another container. I'm not going to do that, because chances are I'd spill it all over my good lady's lovely kitchen, and that wouldn't be smart. So I'm going to siphon into that drum, 20 litre jerry can, so I should have plenty of space this time. The reason I need to make up some syrup today is I'm introducing some young queens into a couple of nucs I've made up. I made one nuc up 5 days ago, and it's been queenless all that time. And I made the other one up this morning and had it sitting on top of its parent hive, separated by a queen excluder. So this second nuc is not at all ready to accept a queen right now. So let's have a look at both of them. This is the first nuc, and the bees are showing a bit of interest. And I'm hopeful that that's mostly because they want to see that queen getting out of that little cage and getting to work. So I'm going to put that cage down between a couple of the frames right now, so that I can leave them alone and and the bees can start freeing their new queen. Here we are. The queen is now sitting down in a cage right in the middle of the nuke, and the bees will free her in their own time over the next 2 days. While that's going on, they'll get used to each other. The queen's pheromones will permeate the nuke and she will become their new first lady. Here's the second nuke. These bees are showing a concerning interest, crawling all over and biting at the cage, and it's not appropriate at all that I leave this queen here until these bees have had a chance to find out what queenlessness is all about. They really haven't had a chance at all. I'm calling this queen Corinne's treasure, so I don't want to spoil my treasure. So we're going to take this cage away and put it in a safe place for about 12 hours till tomorrow morning. Here's my recently queenless nuke again. Bees have really settled down since I removed the queen that they have yet to take a liking to. Before I put the lid back on, I'm going to add one of these AJ beetle traps. Here's the trap in place. And here's the vinegar that goes inside it, along with some oil. Here's Corinne's treasure, happily wandering around inside a cage. The cotton bud was quite a neat looking thing half an hour or so ago, but the bees have torn it to shreds. They were very unhappy. Poor Queenie wouldn't have lasted very long at all if I'd just released her into that nuke, but I was never going to do that. Her Majesty is now in her temporary accommodation, an esky. Got a little bit of tepid water in a bottle wrapped up in the bottom, and that'll keep her at a nice stable temperature. My siphon has now stopped. Before it stopped, it moved all the syrup nice and cleanly into the container. Here's where my jerry can sits. Pour it close to my little apiary, and they're the little bottles that I use for the syrup. They're maple syrup bottles with holes cut in the lids. The only reason the holes are in the lids is so I can stick my finger over it and invert it and not have any leaking. The actual top to the bottle itself is just a bit too big for my little finger. Here's the feeder in place behind one of the nukes. The feeder is simply a little extension built into the back of the base, and there's an 8mm wide and 8mm deep trough inside the hive. It's right at the back of the hive, so that should make robbing less likely, and because it's right in the bottom, I shouldn't have a problem with spillage. If a bit spills, well, it just drips out the bottom through the mesh anyway, so it's not a problem. Whereas a top feeder, something spills, then you've got a disaster.